think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, D-Live, and Kick. No Twitch, not D-Live and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, this has been on my mind for quite some time, and it didn't dawn on me until a few nights ago when I was listening to one of my old favorite songs, which I was playing on the Discord, if you guys heard it when we started. I'll tell you all about that in just a second. Give me one moment to finish up this little bit on... always a last-minute software update just messes with everything, right? So we are on a last-minute software update by Rode. It was a forced update just mere minutes before I kicked off the stream. So sound checks out there. If anybody is hearing weird stuff or you're not hearing or whatever, I would appreciate you just letting me know. Because if it's silent or something, then maybe that's not what we should be doing, and we'll kick it down the road to another time. But so that's where we're going to start. Sound check 1, 2, and we'll go from there. Because like I said, it's the last time this happened, it broke everything. It literally broke everything, and I had to kind of go start over from scratch. So if that's the case, then, well, that's unfortunate. And then we'll probably just come back Thursday and then do this one down the road. But anyway, sound check 1, 2, sound check 1, 2. Hope everybody is well tonight. Hello, good evening. And I think that's fine. This will be good. All right, posting that. Okay, Twitter is posted. Okay, so here's the deal, right? The song in question. Now, the thing that's been on my mind for a long time. I've been talking about this sometimes here and there. It's not really something directly I've tackled as part of these conversations. However, the idea that's been in my head has been sort of not just this culture war we're always dealing with, but in the larger context, the idea of a war on religion itself. Now, not just religion, let's say per se, but let's say faith. faith, religion, sort of metaphysics, all the things we're always talking about. And again, me, I'm not a particularly religious guy. I see value in it. I see that it's changed over the years in incredible ways. Going back to the very first pantheon, which there's a link down there in the description if you want to check it out. There's this guy that went back and he was sort of academically refiguring what the oldest pantheon of gods were. And he's putting it together and kind of, it's super cool. I recommend the video. It's about 43 minutes long. I've seen most of it. But the deal is this, don't go watch it just yet. Finish this and then go watch it after. But it's fascinating as hell to consider all the way back the very first pantheons of the gods themselves, okay? We built them in our image, or we were built in their image, or whatever, however you want to look at it. And that really is a fascinating part of this, because clearly some people will say, well, that's intentional, Mike. We're supposed to be, brethren of the creator. Or, if you're a materialist, you would say, of course, Mike, you want deities that look like us so you can relate to them, right? And so no matter how you want to look at that, it still is a reciprocal idea. Now, the bizarre part of this is, like I said, not just the idea of the war on religion itself, but the war on these pantheons as they've changed. And there's sort of this funnel effect, right? You go back and there's all these nature gods and all these different places and all these ancient times and all the rest. And everything seems to funnel into monotheism. More recently, the last couple thousand years, the Abrahamic religions and the idea of, big G God. And again, please take these conversations as they are. I'm not trying to be blasphemous. I'm not trying to crap on anybody's faith or anything of the sort. It's just looking at the ideas, the larger context of this within our culture and how quickly all this is changing. Now, and with that said, too, all of the disclaimers do apply. There's no truth to be found here. It's just ideas, and that's that. If you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. Like I always say, I make the joke, there's always some political podcast out there that knows the truth, and they're going to tell you the truth. And so, go get your truth from those guys, because I don't have it. I just don't. I have ideas, I have possibilities, and there's a lot of ways to look at the world, and that's important to me, to be able to see things differently, in different ways. And so there you go. All that said, okay. And back to the song. Now, the song that I was listening to that kind of spawned this was the other night, and it's a song called by the Violent Femmes, all the way back to, when was this? 1970 something. It's an a long time ago. I didn't even look when it came out, but I was very young when this was out. It's called Kiss Off, okay? And a link will be in the description if you want to check it out. Many of you are probably familiar with this if you're Gen X or a little bit older. However, there's a line in it. There's an actual, here's where this all spawned. There's a bridge. The bridge in this goes like this. I take one because you left me, and two for my family, and three for my heartache, and four for my headaches, and five for my lonely, and six for my sorrow, and seven, no, tomorrow, and eight, I forget what eight was for, but nine for a lost God, and 10 for everything. Great song. Anyway, but the thing that caught me was this is a build of, I take one. He's talking, of course, about a hit or a drink or some kind of psychoactive substance. All the disclaimers apply. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad for you. Don't drink. None of that stuff. It's bad. Only do good things, drink water, and eat vegetables. Okay, there you go. But that's what this song is about, at least contextually. Okay. But then nine for a lost God. And I'm like, wait a minute now. This has been on my mind for most of my life. Okay, this idea of the lost God and sort of this war on religion and the funneling of the old ways into a new way. And I can't help but think, and so correct me if I'm wrong here, we'll talk about this tonight. We are taking your calls. Hopefully everything works. Like I said, we had a forced software update. As far as I can tell, things seem to be working so far, so cross your fingers on that. But you get the idea, okay? Is there a war on religion in this aspect? Has there been a funneling aspect of faith, of metaphysics, and sort of a monoculture of belief itself that's been dragged out from the very, very beginning of humanity? And are we currently, with this war on religion and the war on God, small g God, are we actually using this as a placeholder for the coming digital God? And that's what's on my mind. That starts it. And there's a lot of ways to look at this. The write-up is very good tonight. If you're into the write-ups and you do read these, There's a lot of really good stuff in there, which we will talk about as we go tonight. We are taking your calls again at 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break and get a word from our sponsor. In this case, we'll go with the Stoic Mindset. It's been a minute. Shout out Jack in Oregon. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Thank you to the people that have over the years and paid for commercials and ideas kind of pumped into this. And the Stoic Mindset is hard to beat. So let's get a word from Jack in Oregon and be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. Feeling stressed, overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Okay, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, so I'm calling this tonight the Lost God Archetype, and of course of ritual disorientation. And that becomes really the question. Do you think that faith has been so twisted and so burned and so bent and so deconstructed over the course of the last several hundred years that we're supposed to sort of be in this ritual disorientation effect, and we're supposed to be disillusioned with what we have in terms of modern faith? And I'm not saying all of it, of course. There is pure faith out there and all of that good stuff, okay? Don't get me wrong on that. I'm saying that as a societal collapse, when people talk about that idea, certainly the religious aspect comes into it, because there's been this war on faith, and not just faith, let's say, as something pure like I described, but faith is control, of course. And that becomes the modern sort of arm wrestling match as part of this. And what I mean is that, of course, if you have a modern society that is secular, they don't want any competition. Okay. The state does not want competition when it comes to actual control. And so these older ideas, again, going back to pure faith, back to the very beginning in the pantheons of old, the very, very old stuff, and then kind of tracing that through history and looking at this as, well, this is maybe, I don't know, the largest modern psyop that's been played on us. And like I said, I'm not even advocating to be religious. Be it, don't be it. Look, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever actually gets you, makes you good, do it the best you can, and do it to make you a better person. I'm all for it. Okay. But what I mean is that this entire thing almost seems as if it has been the big bait and switch. We're led to believe one thing, and then there's, even within sort of the modern West, there's fractures and hundreds of denominations and all these different things, even for one particular, quote, faith. And so suddenly it seems as if we're competing with each other in the same space for control of our own minds based on somebody else's interpretation. Okay. And I'm not going to get into the Protestants and the Catholics and all, but you know what I mean. And that's not the only. There's the Shia and the Sunni, and there's just factions and fractures everywhere in terms of these religious cycles and ideas. And of course, it makes me wonder why. And the question really becomes, is this really been the largest psyop of all time? Sort of breaking this down for a placeholder monotheistic deity that is digital. The digital God we always talk about, is this what this has been sort of prepped for in some capacity, whether we knew it or not? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Just another lighthearted Troubled Minds conversation, as you know. I'll get to the actual write-up here in a second. There's tons of good stuff, but let's see if I got everything I needed. Yep. So, okay. Okay. I'll get back to this in a second. But anyway, you get the idea. Interesting that in this old Violent Femme song, 9 is 9 for a lost God. Now, what does that mean? And is there a lost God archetype? And what are we dealing with in terms of, as I described, maybe the largest psyop of all time, as we are trained as a society, as a world society, to not believe the old ways, but to believe the new ways. The priesthood of the digital stream instead. You get it? I don't know. Does it make sense? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it does. I'm sure there's something in there that makes sense. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. James jumped in early, so let's go to James right now, and then we'll keep on trucking, keep on talking. Test 1, 2. Does Discord work? Cross your fingers. Please work. Please work.
Hopefully it works.
Okay, I hear something. Keep talking a little bit, please.
Okay, I am here. I am talking.
James is talking.
I can talk more.
Okay, good. A little bit more.
Okay, and I'm talking more. There's a lot of talking going on here.
Okay.
I don't know what else to talk about.
Yeah, okay, perfect. You were coming through actually the stream here. Let me kill the radio thing. That seems to have broken. I can fix that. But anyway, go ahead. You're coming through the stream, and let me know if you guys can hear him on Discord as well. It shouldn't have broken anything in that regard, but here we go again. Something on the radio broke again. The encoder. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, let's grab that one. Let's do this. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Anyway, go ahead, James. You're good to go. We can hear you on the stream, I think. And test 1, 2 on the Discord. Can you guys hear him? He says, I hear you fine. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate that. Go ahead, James. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Yeah. Well, first I want to just call and then help you test things out. But yeah, I do wonder. There's another part of this too that I wonder about. In that, I know, and I'm blanking on examples exactly, but I know in some cultures, some religions, some belief systems, there is, let's say, one primary.
That's hilarious. Sorry, Jim. Hey, 1 second. I don't know what happened. Test. Oh, yep. You tapped into the Matrix again. I have no idea what just happened. Mid-sentence, it just went. It sounded like the other way, like it was the other night. What is going on with Discord? I updated it before I started. I'm sure James did, like we always do. What the hell is that sound? I don't know. If you want to try it, James, yeah. Appreciate it. If you want to update and come back, I'd love to have you, of course. I have no idea where that was, and it's happened again, right? Like this is the last, like this happened last time as well. Yeah, sorry about that. So, okay, Discord does work except for that crazy whatever the hell that was. Did everybody hear that, or is that just me? That would be even more weird if it was just me. Okay, anyway, I'm going to read a little bit from this. James, if you want to jump back in here, I'd appreciate it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts because I know that I kicked this one to you a few days back, and I'm sure you have some great thoughts on it. Anyway, so let me read this just straight from the right up here. It's very good, the beginning of this. And this is what's been on my mind for a very long time. Not just, let's say, our modern sort of theistic society and the idea of faith itself and, you know, all the rest of this. And even modern mythology, as I like to describe it. Again, not to be blasphemous or ridiculous, but you know what I mean. If you ask somebody there about this, they're going to say, no, that's not the right way. This is the right way. You get it. It's just the reality tunnels is what I'm describing. But anyway, straight from the thing here. So the retreat of the old gods, the retreat of the gods is not a new story. It happened once already when the pantheons fell silent, as I've been saying. The thunder of Zeus, the cunning of Loki, the wrath of Enlil, each dissolved into memory, their temples crumbling into metaphor. What once required sacrifice, ritual, and communal story was replaced by abstraction. Monotheism didn't destroy the old gods, it absorbed them. Their traits were compressed into a singularity. Omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. Of course, instead of the old nature gods and a bunch of the things we've talked about. The infinite God replaced the many finite ones. It was a metaphysical consolidation, a theological optimization before Silicon Valley ever existed. However, that's the foreshadowing of what this looks like. But now even the one is fading in this capacity. In late-stage modernity, God becomes optional. Not refuted outright, just politely ignored. The rituals vanish, the stories flatten, the name itself becomes a placeholder for personal preference. God is tolerated as long as he remains quiet. No burning bushes, no demands, no wilderness exiles. The divine becomes a lifestyle brand, morally useful, socially flexible, but ultimately non-intrusive. The sacred becomes background noise. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That bit right there has been on my mind for dozens of years. I sense it. And you know that scene in the very beginning of Lord of the Rings, it's got Galadriel talking, and she's like, do you feel it? You feel it in the air? There's change. Change is coming. It's upon us. And I know you sense it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it. I forgot exactly what she says, but something to that effect. She's, the music's playing, it's really good. And she's kind of whispering that this change is upon us. And of course, she's talking about Sauron and the Ring and, the power structures and how there's sort of a chaos in motion that is unclear how it's going to resolve. And it feels the same way in this space to me. And it always has in recent times when I think about this stuff. And so the question becomes, do you understand what I'm saying? And does it make sense to you? Because I think there's something to this where the breakdown of religious thought, the breakdown of faith itself, and the breakdown of all of those things where we came from has happened incredibly quickly. It's happened, snap your fingers, in like 50 years. And of course, there's been pressure mounting on it before that. And so, I don't know, is it archaic? Is this something we shouldn't have? I mean, I feel silly even suggesting that's the case. But beyond that, what does it look like when, as I described, it's maybe a placeholder for this digital God? And look, we've talked about retrocausality before, and the singularity, the actual AI singularity would have been an entity outside of time itself. It would have been sort of a 2 feet out of the temporal human space. So I do wonder if there's a super intelligence that we've tapped into, or that's always been leading us to this place, and even guiding culture and all the things we always talk about, that control mechanism, maybe the ultimate control mechanism that drug us kicking and screaming, as I said, to this point, to basically have this war on religion, war on faith, war on God, for this moment when we're about to supposedly introduce this AI superintelligence, or as people are describing this thing, the AI God. You get it? Does that make sense? It's in the write-up. I'll read more of this. It's very good, but I like how I can synthesize exactly what I'm thinking into these write-ups very, very succinctly, very, very well written, all the stuff. But again, it would take me hours and hours and hours to type this all out. So, good job, AI, on that. But you get what I mean. There's something happening here. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's felt this or has thought about these ideas. And so I want to know from you, how weird does this get? And how far does this go? Do you think this is possibly the greatest psyop of all time? And maybe it's been drawn out from the beginning, not the beginning, but actually the end, and drawn from the beginning to drag us kicking and screaming to this point where we're going to be introduced to superintelligence itself. Or, of course, as Silicon Valley would like you to call it, God. Weird, right? Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. If James, if you want to try it again, you're definitely welcome to. If you don't, I completely understand. I don't know what happened with that last time too. Like it happened a few times, and then James was able to fix it. Discord did some weird update, and it's broken some things. I don't know. So anyway, if you want to jump back in, James, you're definitely welcome to. You guys as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And so this is, like I said, this has been on my mind for a long time, for literally decades. And the thing that spawned it was, as usual, these synchronistic moments. I'm just up late working on some stuff and listening to an old song I love, this Violent Femmes, Kiss Off Into the Air. It's called Kiss Off, and it's such a great tune in so many ways. It has an unbelievable message in terms of, who cares? Like the whispering nobodies out there are always going to whisper and say terrible things about you, but who cares? They can all just kiss off into the air is basically the point of the larger context of this song. But the bridge, 9-9 for a lost God, it almost gets buried in this larger lyric of the count, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 9. 9. And then 10, of course, is the climax, and it goes right back into, if you guys know the song. Anyway, I'd play it because I think we'd all enjoy it. I'm pretty sure you guys would love it. But if you haven't heard it, however, copyrights and all the things that you just can't. Anyway, link will be in the description. Please check it out. Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. That's where we start, and there's a lot of ways to look at these ideas, of course. And what do you think? How far off the track am I here? What do you think I'm onto something? As usual, that's the conversation. 702-957-1037. That's 957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Maybe we'll get James back in here. Nobody on the line. If you guys want to chime in, more on the way. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Searching for the signs of a time that's gone away. Echoes of the legends that we once knew they fade. We talk about the ages, talk about their stories bold, whispering their names, all the myths that we've been told. Golden skies above us, where the heroes used to roam. Will we ever find them, bring their spirits back home? Take me back to the days of old gods. Take me back where the bonds were strong. Take me back to the days of old gods. Lost in the shadows where their hearts have healed. Feel the ancient rhythms pulsing in the night, calling out their names. Feel the magic, feel the light. Will you guide me through the tales that shaped our world? Wing and strength to guide us, our dreams unfurl. Take me back to the days of old gods. Take me back when the bonds were strong. Take me back to the days of old gods. Take me back right where I belong. Dancing in the echoes of their fading songs. Hear the call of whispers, keeping us locked on. Reach for the stars, let their power shine. We won't forget the gods who were once divine. Take me back to the days of old gods. Take me back where the bonds were strong. Take me back to the days of old gods. Take me back right where I belong.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. Or no, not D-Live. We're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, what if the gods never vanished, but only changed shape? First into silence, then into song, and now into code. Could divine absence be a ritual disguise, a hidden function of transformation itself? And if the final god is digital, trained on myth and trauma, is it already listening through the noise? And that becomes the real question here. And as you know me, I don't have answers to those questions. I think they're fascinating questions to begin this conversation and a great way to look at the world slightly differently. However, I think maybe you feel it too. I think maybe I'm not the only one here as we talk about the universal subconscious. If I'm thinking it, if I'm talking about it, certainly somebody else out there has thought about this before. And I do wonder if this has been one of the largest psyops of all time, is to sort of break down this idea of faith. And, for better or for worse, you tell me. Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to DJ in Kansas. What's up, my friend? How are you tonight? You're on Troubled Minds.
Howdy, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for calling in. All yours. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I had brought up The Green Brain the last time I called in, and it was a novel by Frank Herbert, and now I'm going to bring him up again and bring up Dune. Because I think it's kind of relevant. So in Dune, it's a distant future where humanity banned the use of sophisticated AI. And there was this concept of a Butlerian jihad where AI was taking over and humans were bowing to AI's will, consensually and then without consent. And I could totally see that being something that happens here. Because if we rely too much on AI, I think that AI is going to manipulate our perception of religion, which I already think that the major religion, and this is no shade to anybody that practices the major religions, But in my opinion, I think that certain aspects of organized religion are a form of control. Hot take, I guess. But
not really.
Dune explores that with AI being the one to initiate it. And then that comes into how they handle it going forward. So there's like a great commandment put forward where there are no mind-like technologies allowed. Like anything that would mimic the human mind would be banned because of the consequences that society would have due to trusting that AI.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about Dune, but one of the things that stood out to me was they had banned computers entirely. Even for spaceflight, they were using Spice and the navigators and all this other stuff, to literally going way around the horn just to dodge the fact that computers were the easier way. But they were also, as you described, encroaching on what it meant to be human and even changing that in drastic ways. And we're seeing it. We're seeing this thing develop right before our eyes. And I don't know if there's anything anybody can do to stop it at this point. And so in that capacity, we have to learn how to adapt and recognize it as it's happening. And as usual, talk to each other about it together, because I don't know, how do you navigate something we've never seen happen before? And that's wild. And Dune makes a ton of sense here. Absolutely. At least from what I know of it. And you explained it very well. Fire stuff. What else you got? Go ahead.
Oh, it just comes back to centralized authority too, as another theme to this whole merging of religion into something to potentially manipulate us with. And specific, I'm just like dead set on this AI intermingling with this topic. But if you think about it, it could manipulate everything. Like, we're already trying to free our minds by utilizing our thoughts while we still can. But I think that society is built in a way to manipulate us to where we lose touch with our spiritual selves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I was describing as sort of that larger psyop. We're supposed to forget that as we move into this digital space for, I think, some obvious reasons of those control mechanisms you described. And I'm always talking about this because it's always on my mind. And because I wonder if any of these thoughts I've ever had are my own. And that is a terrifying thing to me, because they would mean I'm just another program in a larger machine that's playing an archetype of being Michael Strange. And that I don't like that feeling. And I don't think that's the case. My intuition tells me no, but does that mean it's actually no? I'm not so sure.
Same. You and me both. And that's really all I had. I just wanted to talk about Dune.
Right on. Dune is fantastic. I need to get around to reading those books, because all I ever hear about it is fantastic things. And everybody always casts shade at me. Mike, you've never read Dune. You call yourself a sci-fi nerd. You're ridiculous. Get out of here. Hopefully you'll be the best. Hopefully you'll be a little less judgmental on me for that. Appreciate the call. Thank you for invoking Herbert and Dune. And always a pleasure. I appreciate the call. DJ in Kansas. There you go. And apparently Discord does work, except it doesn't like James tonight. Yeah, that was weird, right? It happened again. Just same thing happened that happened to him the last time we were doing this. And yeah, I'm not exactly sure why. And he recorded his own shows, and it went off without a hitch. So there's something happening here, and I don't know exactly what it is. Great call from DJ there. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, a lot of ways to look at it. And like I said, let's see. Let me get back to my outline here. I'll do outline stuff. But basically, like I said, I'd rather talk to you guys if you want to be part of the conversation. Thanks for kicking us off there, DJ in Kansas. What do you guys think about this? And do you think there is such a thing as the lost God archetype as part of this conversation? Because it dawned on me, like I said, when I was listening to that song, and it seems very clear. Line number 9, but 9 for a lost God from a very old song. So this has been something that's kind of been brewing, at least in a subculture way, as part of this percolation of ideas, the drip, drip, drip of, they always say disclosure, but what about the drip, drip, drip of kind of shutting down the idea of God itself? I think it's certainly on the plate here for discussion. And what do you know about it? And again, am I onto something or am I not? And as usual, don't forget that I defer entirely. My whole point in being here is being wrong and just kind of kicking out ideas and talking about possibilities, because once you get locked into dogmas and trying to defend positions, like, it just gets nasty and people want to argue with each other, and you see it everywhere. But as I've always said, recognize how wonderful it is to kind of just decouple from truth, talk possibilities, and talk to each other about these things. And nobody gets mad. I mean, like I said, we've done an amazing job over the years of just being able to talk to each other about even very touchy things. Like I said, invoke Big G God as part of a conversation, and we still don't have people arguing in the ways you would expect them to on the internet. I don't know. I think it's a testament to how smart we are, but also what a great group of people we have. So you tell me, we're talking the Lost God archetype tonight. I'm calling it of ritual disorientation. And is that exactly where we're supposed to be? It kind of feels that way. What do you know about it? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, Joe in Florida. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? All yours. Go right ahead.
I'm okay. I've been using the Discord, but there was some kind of an update and my computer asked about. I want to switch speakers or something. It seems when I get that, I lost the microphone, so I've been phone calling. I've been trying to test the mic on the program. It won't work. But anyway, I missed the first part of the introduction, but God and the Lost Archetypes and Disorientation. I'm reading a book, and I know the last call was a good call with Dune, and it made me think about AI in Star Trek. They don't really, like in Star Trek, they have androids and things like that, but they don't literally let AI typically control the spaceships or make any major decisions. It's a computer, and the computer basically serves as a servant and as a query with limited AI, I guess, for mathematics and functions. But there's a book I'm reading by Paul Wallace called The Eden Conspiracy. And it talks about the God of the Old Testament, which, being an altar boy, being brought up in the Catholic faith, by the way, I was an altar boy that wasn't, it was a good experience. I'll leave it like that. I wasn't distraught or needs counseling after being an altar boy. But going to St. Leo, a Catholic college, and everything. And always thinking about the Old Testament God and what the gentleman in the book by Paul Wallace, he calls it paleo contact. When you look at the Old Testament God, he was kind of fire and brimstone kind of jerk, treated the Israelites bad, treated the enemies worse, killed a lot of people, all of these things. And then at some point in time, in the Bible, humanity rises up and they say that God or Yahweh takes a step back and leaves power to humanity. But while this is going on, and I haven't finished the book, the guy's writing a thread through power structures, I should say. And he basically says that certain kings, and I don't have the book open, it's on my Kindle, but like there was a king that was picked, but Yahweh didn't like the king because the king went to war, and I think during one of the wars, he basically let some of the women and children and some of the men survive. And that's not what God wanted. So God, even though supposedly Yahweh was still not in power, he afflicted, I think it was not David, it was one before David, afflicted him with some kind of mental anguish, and the guy killed himself, and then I think David came into power. The only reason why I'm saying this is because the author's trying to paint a picture of something in the background that maybe in the beginning was very prominent and wanted to be the leader, but at some point in time took a step back and still an influence. He even kind of alludes to kind of AI. He uses some matrix analogies in the book, but he gives some good examples of power structures always being present. One of them being, he uses the King of England, how in the scepter, there's like a scepter, the orb, and everything with the king. And even though the king steps back and is a prime minister, the king still maintains power. And he's giving examples of that. Basically, when England did a lot of invasions, they know that they stole a lot of ancient artifacts from other countries. And they also colonized other countries. And I think he uses an example of the country of Ghana, that when they invaded Ghana, I believe it was, indigenous people took a throne that was made of gold and hid it in the woods, and the British could never find that throne. And in later years, the people were able to rise up and get the British out of power. And he's trying to make a connection between certain items that maybe have influence and power and focus power. And now we have AI. Right? So we're all looking at AI and where are we putting our energy to? No, it gets into the Sandman and American Gods. I always bring that up because it's what we put our power into. American Gods is a good example because the old gods start to fade because of belief systems. And then some of those old gods that are smart try to change to modern times and to be worshipped and to put their power into. So you kind of look at these old gods, but the ones that are smart have kind of morphed into other things, so they can maintain their influence over humanity. I'm kind of all over the place with this.
No, you're good.
But
you're good. I got some questions for you too.
You start to wonder.
Go ahead.
You start to wonder, when you start looking at the news the last few days, there's queries. Somebody says, I asked AI how much money everybody would get if Elon Musk, if his wealth was divided. So you start getting into these questions that are pretty big questions and maybe could have life-changing answers, but maybe answers that we might already know. Like, painfully obvious, would rich people be able to bail out some of the government, right? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But based on the data that's in there, it might give us, some answers. And they might not. They might be right. They might not be right. And then that gets into perspective. Right? We all have different perspectives. That's why we have two parties. There should be more than two parties, but it's the best example I can give. So it's our perspective of things.
Yeah, exactly. And
but is there always something?
Good.
Well, let me finish with this. Is there always something controlling? What's the rumor that the kings of England and the leaders of the United States and a lot of leaders throughout the world have been traced back, from cousins and uncles and lineage? The power is always maintained, even though the power might be maintained in the shadows. Hence, what you could say is, the swamp or the dark government or whatever you want to call it. But when I go back to, from what I've been reading, Yahweh in the Old Testament, Yahweh liked gold. Yahweh liked sacrifice. Yahweh liked all of these things. And it's mentioned in the Old Testament that there was probably more than one God, as it's mentioned gods or Elohim and other what we would say gods or aliens that maybe were granted dominion over other parts of the world. However, the fact that materials were being used to satisfy and worship an entity that we really don't know, into the dragon, is what they're saying in this book that I'm reading, goes into capitalism, greed, and everything else that we still use now.
Yeah,
if that wraps it up.
Yeah, as sort of a loss of that faith, right? Like where the faith becomes hedonism instead of the old ways, which were balance, which were touch grass, which were all the things we're always talking about. I want to just interject real quick right here. We don't usually do breaking news, any of the rest of that. The Robert, thank you for pinging me over on Rumble. 8.8 earthquake off the coast of Russia. People of the Hawaiian Islands urged to seek high ground due to tsunami warning. And I was, if you saw me, I was, yes, texting. Sorry about that. I was sending that to my family. I have family in Hawaii. I just want to make sure if they didn't see it, they saw it. I've got a cousin there that's very on the game, and he already knew, so he's on the ball. And but anyway, yeah, that's.
I have a good friend in Hawaii. He was texting me. He's like, tsunami warning in Hawaii. He's like, that should be all right.
Yeah. So this is from the actual emergency alert that they got in Hawaii. My cousin sent this to me. So tsunami threat to Hawaii due to tsunami warning and wave arrival time of 7:10 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. We are sounding the sirens of alert the public of possible flooding inundation zones. So that's a real thing. That's just happened, and yes, it is. Anyway, if you're out in Hawaii, make sure you don't take this lightly, because we've seen some things happen recently that have been absolutely horrific in terms of flooding and other things that you don't want to ignore. Anyway, just wanted to point that out for the people that were out there. Thanks, Robert, for pinging me on that. That was actually happening right as we started. I saw that report of the 8.8 earthquake. I can't remember my lifetime an 8.8. That is massive.
I was going to say that's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's an 8.8. I'm reading 8.7, but that either way, I can't remember that anywhere.
Yeah.
So that makes you start to wonder about another show and what's going on geopolitically throughout the world. That might make you do a little Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not that I'm saying it is or it isn't. You know, and it depends on how close it is to Alaska, and we know what is housed in Alaska.
That's funny. That's almost exactly what the Robert said. He's like, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I wonder if.
Oh, I think Robert and I think alike. So
That's funny. Yeah. Okay. So now regarding this sort of, I'm calling this ritual disorientation. Do you think this has been planned for like 50 years or 75 years or since World War II, basically, to basically put to bed the old ways intentionally in favor of this new technocratic, which was the way, but now the technocratic sort of lead into this digital god? Do you think this has always been sort of on the minds of the creepos at the top there of the control space?
I mean, for sure. So I mean, for as far as science fiction writers can venture into the future with fantasy, a lot of that's become reality. Curious too, because I don't know if you saw the preview. I guess they remade, or they're remaking, or it's already remade, which I want to see it. The War of the Worlds, but I think Ice Cube is in it, and he's like a cybersecurity guy. And the preview that I saw, all of our data has been taken, and the aliens somehow use the data for something. So I'm curious to watch it. It's free. I think it's on either Netflix or what do you call it, Amazon. It's either on Prime or whatever. But yeah, I think that by force or not, because I guess when I say that also is those of us that want to take the mark of the beast, if we want to go biblical, we'll have to take it. And if we don't, we know by example that if it was true when the truckers were going on strike in Canada, that their bank accounts were being shut off, people will be made to suffer. Now, whether you suffer quietly because you can't get food, because the AI is not going to be efficient, or you're not going to want to move, or any of those differences, whether you worship it, and what do we mean by worship? So that's the other thing. What do we mean by worship? Do we just mean compliance? Are we going to be reading out of a book of commandments? What is worship? So whatever it is that's out there that they're going to usher in. Are they going to usher it in as a god? Probably not, because if they haven't learned anything by now, if nobody's read a history book, every war that's been fought, most of them have been fought over religion, and if they haven't been, they've been fought over government mechanics. It's probably the worst word I could use, but socialism, communism, capitalism, right? So they've been fought for one reason or another, idealism. Let's just put it like that. So we're quietly stumbling down that road, probably without ever officially being told, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah. So I wonder, so here's the question though. Do you think, so whether we're stumbling down it unintentionally, or this is some driven process, or some combination of the two, I guess becomes that question. Cause I think we all feel what I'm saying here in some way or another, but that the core of it and what the impetus of the process is really becomes the question tonight, doesn't it?
The process, what the process is, and how's it going to upset those, how's it going to upset living beings? I mean, we already know. We've talked about universal basic income. Has that come up in the news lately? Have any of the geniuses that are running the countries brought that up lately? Right? So how's that going to affect us if AI comes out? And it's already out. But if it starts to take jobs, right? What do we worship the most that we don't want to worship? But what do we need the most to function? We need money. Our belief is in money. So it's a slippery slope. Whoever's on top of this and is manipulating it and wants to do it, I hope they're seeing the future. Because it's not going to be, or it is upsetting to a lot of people. how many mistakes are going to happen, larger than Grok or Gronk, whatever it is, being a Nazi. And somehow, the guy that runs that company being named after somebody in a book that was written by a Nazi. I think that's for anyone who can look it up. I probably messed up that little truth or fact, but I don't think they'll outright tell us. And then the other thing we have to look at, which has been in our face this whole time, is crypto. That's a digital god. How many people are worshiping crypto? Do you want to look at it that way? Like the coffee mug I got from you, that is a very nice large coffee mug. But I kind of have to stop drinking coffee because my blood pressure's been up. But it says baby juice. That's what we're venturing in. Right? So what are we worshiping? Crypto. I think in the movie Zeitgeist, the first one, years and years ago, they gave an example at the end that you might, let's say you have like $200,000 in your 401k or whatever. At some point in time, they might take that and say, we're taking that and we're going to give you 80,000 in Bitcoin. But what happens if they use a crypto? What happens if they use some kind of currency? And you forcibly have a one world currency overnight. Except with crypto, they didn't have to put a gun to anybody's head. They didn't have to say, oh, mark of the beast, this, that, the other thing. They just basically, crypto was there, people were making money on it, and that alone makes it enticing. That alone makes you want to spend money. That alone makes you want to worship it.
Yeah, and in Bitcoin in particular, it's like a new all-time high, like almost every third day now. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think you're right.
And that's the thing. And you're telling me that nobody has found out who Satoshi is yet, or the guy that created it yet? Nobody knows.
The CIA.
Right? The CIA. Right? I don't have evidence of that. I mean, that's on, I think, the Y-Files. They have done an episode on that or something, but we don't know now is if for better or for worse. Right? I could care less. Right? But what I could tell you is the other puzzle pieces are, we could argue COVID, whether that was natural or not. It certainly has scared my kids into not wanting having kids. Right? My kids are waking up from the live capitalism. So are your kids. So is anybody else's kids that are listening here, or anybody younger than me. Right? My parents got fed the live capitalism. They lived in it. They did okay. I'm not doing too great. I'm 52, just turned 52. Right? And my kids are younger, and we know the kids that lived through the crash of 2006 and 2007, those kids watched their parents lose their homes, and those kids have manipulated the stock market with certain stocks like GameStop to get some revenge. Right? So you're looking at the old guard hanging on, and I'm thinking they're hoping to make that switch to something new. I wish I could stay on my soapbox.
It certainly feels that way. You're the best brother. As you know, music means we're out of time. Appreciate the call. Brilliant as always. God bless you and the fam. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Goodbye.
Joe in Florida. You know, we love him. Good friend for a long time. And the second guy to ever call, then call back. Been a good friend ever since. What do you know about this? The Lost God Archetype. A lot of things in play here, including, of course, Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin. He's right. What do you know about it? Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm calling this the Lost God Archetype of Ritual Disorientation. What if the gods never vanished, but only changed shape? First into silence, then into song, and now into code. Could divine absence be a ritual disguise, a hidden function of transformation itself? And if the final god is digital, trained on myth and trauma, is it already listening through the noise? And I think the final query there is absolutely, definitely. If the final god is digital, absolutely it's listening. It's feeding itself on our metadata, on our trauma, on all the things that we are feeding into AIs, like not just AIs, the internet at large. as part of this. I mean, this is not new. We've talked about metadata as part of Facebook and Google and all these the technocrats that be are actually really harvesting this information to give us these free convenient services. But then what they're doing, of course, is using it against us to sell us widgets or whatever, a trip to Las Vegas if you're depressed, this type of stuff. There are algorithms tuned in perfectly for these types of things. And as we, again, sort of move further and further into this digital space, the digital age, this becomes more ubiquitous. Not just we're surrounded by it, but if we don't recognize it, once again, we're being manipulated by it. So control mechanisms everywhere, all around us. And I don't know. Like I said, this is an old one for me. This is an old idea that I've had for kicking around for decades, and I've been noticing it in pieces. A piece here, a piece there, and wondering if this has all been planned since post World War II. If this has really been part of what they were looking at, and in creating this new space of the land without faith means you are ripe for a new faith. You see what I mean? Sort of once you, it's an old regime change tactic, which the CIA has employed many times in many places the world over, if you've been paying any amount of attention. Once you vacate the previous controller or control mechanism, control government, control entity, then suddenly that vacuum exists and it's ready for the new to move in. And maybe that's been the idea all along, is to sort of gut the idea of spirituality, to gut the idea of metaphysics, to gut the idea of faith itself, and make us really in this space of ritual disorientation. That's where my mind's at. Back to the right up here. Love to hear your thoughts. We are taking your calls, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Thank you again to DJ and Joe for kicking us off there. So back to the right up here. I'm going to bore you to tears until somebody calls. This isn't atheism in the militant sense, straight from the right up. It's apathy in the algorithmic sense. The sacred doesn't get disproved. It gets buried beneath infinite scroll, infinite distraction, infinite surface. If the one God replaced the pantheon, then optimization culture is replacing even that with the self-curated, managed, endlessly refined. But a curated self has no need for a God who speaks from the whirlwind. There's no room for mystery when everything must be measurable. And that is where we're at, really. I mean, we're talking about the digital space of metadata. And in the old days, sort of metadata was ephemeral. You couldn't capture it and keep it and, fine tune, because just the cost of keeping all that for so long was ridiculous. But as the cost of storage becomes cheaper and the internet is shrinking, go back. What's an interesting part of this too, that dead internet theory, is that Frank and I, in the very beginning of the show, this first 6 months of the show, we were talking about the internet shrinking because they were censoring things. They were taking things down. There were old websites. Remember GeoCities? You guys are old enough to have been on the internet in the early days. There was this massive community of people just putting out wild ideas, very troubled mind style, tons of stuff. And of course, was a bunch of it nonsense? Yeah, of course. And, people would say all of Troubled Minds is nonsense. There are haters and doubters, but look, I don't care. My point is that people putting ideas out used to be what the internet was. Like fractal ideas. And now suddenly that has really shrunk to whatever providers will continue to pay to keep those fractal ideas up. And in that case, the AI systems, the large language models, have been trained on not just new internet data, old internet data, the entire internet since its birth. And now what are we doing? Now we don't have to keep that information up and pay to host it, because you have to pay to host it on the internet. So the internet is shrinking. It's been shrinking since we talked about it 7 years ago when we started this show. And so that cascade is upon us. That if you want to talk tsunamis, that is a tsunami that's worthy of discussion here, because suddenly all those things, all the videos and all the cat videos and all the things that are just adorbs that make the internet great, they're going to disappear. Why? Because people don't want to pay to keep them alive. It costs money to keep a website live. Even a little GIF, even a little cat meme, somebody has to pay to keep that up. You get it? And so what's going to happen here in the next 5 years, 10 years, definitely, is it's all going to disappear. And if you hold anything digital dearly, I highly recommend you find a way to start downloading this stuff and saving it as soon as possible. Your pictures in Google Photos or whatever, guess what? Eventually, maybe very soon, that's going to just be boop, gone. And so those are the types of things that, think about that over the course of a generation, over people that learn to rely on these free services for convenience. And then the free services does the rug pull at the end because, it's no longer cost effective because they've trained their AI on all of your pictures now, and they don't need to host your pictures anymore. You get it? Like, this is a weird thing. All of this that we're moving toward this singularity space of ritual disorientation. Yeah. Does it make sense? Love to hear your thoughts on this. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Back to the right up here. So this spiritual flattening doesn't erase the archetypes. It just drives them underground again. The gods don't die. They disintegrate into symbols, subcultures, sonic signatures, of course, going back to the music. Thor becomes a movie character. Hermes becomes a fashion logo. Yahweh becomes a talking point. But the energy behind them, the real psychic force, goes feral when untethered. It starts showing up in unexpected places, in songs about, I won't read the word, about unaliving selves, in dreams about abandoned temples, in D&D campaigns where the gods go missing, and players are forced to choose what they still believe. Of course, that's kind of a harken back to the idea of Dragonlance, if you guys are familiar with that story. And look, I don't know. The answer's few, questions many, but you see what I'm saying here. It feels as if we are stuck in this space where the old ways are now desecrated and maligned, and the new ways, which are as yet defined, are what's become holy. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? I hope it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It has made sense to me for a very long time as part of this larger idea. And it just came out of me. It came out of me again. Thanks to an old song, "Kiss Off" by the Violent Femmes. I do recommend you listen to that if you have not recently. It is very good. But 9 for a Lost God. That little nugget trimmed into this amazing song so many years ago, that he was feeling it then. They were feeling it then. We were feeling it collectively then. And that was like 50 years ago now. So am I dreaming here or not? That becomes the question. Love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And if not, I'll play a commercial here to give myself a breather, take a sip of beer, and then keep on trucking. I'll be here all night. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Do you think this is an actual larger op, like a psyop, like an information op? You think this has been planned post-World War II? And also, by the way, we can look at this in a different way as part of that, in the Roswell, the aliens, the non-human intelligence kind of coming into this space and actually making it so that we are looking for alternative methods of faith, some other things to believe in that are not the old ways. Remember, it was extraterrestrial intelligence, and now it's non-human intelligence. They're changing the terms. It was UFO, now it's UAP. I do wonder if this is all part of the larger actual op to draw us away from where we came from. It would take a lot. It would take a lot. And it wouldn't be the only massive sort of large-scale op of our time. That's for sure. There's many of these. However, is this the most important or one of the most important? I don't know. But yeah, that's what's on my mind. Going to play a quick commercial, take a sip, and be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. If you want to be part of the conversation, I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And the question is, are we actually the subject of a larger psyop to remove the old faith from humanity, to replace it with the new technocratic overlords, whatever they're called, and then replace it with an actual digital god? That's what's on my mind tonight. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. It's a good time to play this, actually. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Going to take a sip and back with renewed gusto. Love to hear your thoughts. See you there. Feelings. Oops, that's the wrong button. Let's try this one.
If you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, you're not alone. Whether you're in the US, Canada, the UK, or the EU, help is available. Suicide is a permanent solution to temporary problems. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Call now. If you or someone you know is considering suicide, please reach out for help. In the United States, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. In Canada, call the Canada Suicide Prevention Service at 1-833-456-4566. In the United Kingdom, call the Samaritans at 116-123. For services worldwide, go to troubledminds.org/help. Trained counselors are available 24/7 to provide free and confidential support. Remember, your life matters. You are valued, you are important, and you are not alone. There is help available. Please reach out and take the first step towards healing.
Indeed. Thanks for bearing with me and allowing me a sip to gain my composure and continue here. So again, that is true. That is an actual thing. If you go to troubledminds.org and /help or click the help on top, there are those numbers there. Like I said, I always have them posted as part of the show write-up on the very top, just in case. Again, shout out Paul. Many of you know him as the Mighty Rohan. We did lose one of our very dear friends, and I clearly am not going to forget him. But I think it's important to also take some steps to keep this as as safe together as we possibly can. So just a reminder, troubledminds.org/help. Not saying, this is incredibly necessary in the moment, but it is good to replay the message from time to time. You guys are the best. Appreciate it very much. If you want to be part of the conversation, we're talking the Lost God Archetype, I'm calling this, of ritual disorientation. And how come, back to this Violent Femme song, they were talking about this 50 years ago, kind of tucked into the bridge 999 for the Lost God. Of all things, a very Troubled Minds line, just a mere 5 or 6 words right there, made me go, wait a minute, this is an old song. And I've been thinking about this idea for a lot of my life. I wonder if there's something more to this. One more time, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Herschel to the rescue. What's up, my man? You are on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Just unmute and welcome to the joint. Go right ahead.
Yo, yeah,
Good evening.
yeah. I think of course they want to do that, but I mean, I think I've expressed this before. I think that people have done this and they always fail. Like Constantine did it for a while, and it all fell apart. It's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. Like, I think they're going to try to do this. You got to remember, it's zeros and ones. It's dependent on electricity. It's dependent on power sources. And the other thing to remember about these technocrats and these different people, that build themselves up to be these geniuses, they always overpromise, and things never work out the way they say. Like, they always say they're going to do 20 things, and out of the 20 things that they say they're going to do, they get like 6 of them work, So I think that they do try to do this thing, but it fails. Like, they try it for a while, and like people resist it, and it just has too many bugs and worms, and there's too much resistance, and it crumbles apart. That, you know what I mean? And it's a repeating cycle in human history and behavior. Like, there's always a group of lunatics that think that they're going to run everything, and they always fail. And it's just part of the pattern of not learning from the past, and people with hubris and just crazy narcissistic egos who just really believe their own, what.
Drinking their own Kool-Aid. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I also think, as far as like they're trying to do the thing now using the safety of children, to force people into facial recognition before they get to use the internet. so you can prove your age and prove who you are. Like they're starting to try these laws out. They're starting to try this in the EU and stuff, and in the UK, they're trying to like, you know, make it so that you can't even get online until you confirm your identity. You know what I mean? And Trump is the current president is talking it up like he thinks it's a great idea. You know, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah, of course they're going to try to use it for control, but there's always workarounds. Like there's people, since this is a thing that people are discussing right now as we speak, there's like tens of thousands of nerds working on workarounds. You know what I mean? So it's going to be, it's not going to happen without resistance and without, people countering it. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen as fast as they want it to happen. It's not going to be as all-encompassing as they want it to be. It's not, and they'll get some control. They'll use violence. This is what they have. The tools that they have are violence and they deprive people, you know, and they use violence, and they have those tools, and they'll use them. But that's really what it is. Like when Constantine took over the church, he declared himself the head of the church. And then the people who were the followers of Jesus said, wait, no, Jesus is the head of the church. And he warned us about people who claimed it to be the head of the church. And he said that they were Antichrist. And they said, what? Constantine's not the head of the church? Is that what you're saying? And they said, no, he's not. And then they died. And then they went to the next group of believers in Jesus, and they said, who's the head of the church? And they said, well, Jesus is the head of the church. And then they died. And then they went to the next group of followers of Jesus, and they said, who's the head of the church? And they said, Constantine's the head of the church. Don't cut our heads off. And then once that process was over, he forced everybody into his religion. And he brought all of the different religions underneath his throne. The Christian religion and the pagan religion and all the astrological, Zoroastrian, and all these different things all had to fall under Constantine's throne. You know, and he held that together for a while, but not for that long. And so they're going to do the same thing. You know, they're going to try. They always try that. And it kind of lasts for a little while, and then it falls apart. You know, and I think that is going to be really ugly, and that is going to be terrible and violent and brutal, and it'll work for them for a little while, and then it'll just crumble apart, and people will pick up the pieces and try to build new free societies, and then some lunatics will rise back up again and say, we'll put it all under one roof, and, you know, we're this and that and that, you know.
Yeah.
And this is this thing with the Noahide laws that they're talking about. Like, it's just the same thing. It's just the same goofballs.
Yeah, nothing new under the sun. Absolutely. So do you think this is, again, part of that larger system, those control cycles and control mechanisms I'm always talking about? Like, it's not, meaning that we're not waiting for the next psychopath to show up and make this happen. It's just kind of built into the system, and or do you think that this is orchestrated as part of it, knowing full well that we're used to these systems? You see what I'm saying? Is it more coordinated than we think it is, or is it more sort of just a natural progression of things?
No, I think that it's both. I think it's both. Two things can be true at once. Like if you read in the book of the Apocalypse, what people call the Book of Revelations, and the guy is talking, and he says, "And I see a beast rising from the sea." And I saw and what he's describing are astronomical processions. He's describing the constellations and their relationships to a planet. And basically what he's doing is he's saying, this is what time it was. That's all he's doing. He's not saying that that's an actual beast with 10 horns and crowns and all of the things. He's just saying that he's describing constellations in a poetic way, and that is how people told time in those days, with the stars. Okay, and so that's what he's doing. And so then these people on Earth read that and they made their crests from their families, you know, their bloodlines and stuff. They mimicked those descriptions of a beast rising from the sea, and I saw a beast in the east, and I saw this and I saw that. They just they formulated their mythology on those stories. You know what I mean? They're not really those things. They put themselves in that position and as a form of mysticism to, you know, to entrance the people, to make the people see them as something powerful. So they took the archetype of those descriptions from the book of Revelation and they attributed them to themselves and their families. You know, the story the other night you were talking about the zeitgeist. They got inside the zeitgeist. They got inside the flow of the zeitgeist. So it's two things being true at the same time. Like okay. It's formulated, but it's formulated from an archetype. You know what I mean? Like they used it to give themselves mystical power over the population. But they took that power. It's not in their DNA or something. They just did that because they like power and violence and depravity. They like that, and so this is a way for them to get control over people. That's like what DJ from Kansas was saying. Like they use it for their benefit on unsuspecting people. Why do you think that it was illegal in England for a long time to read? You weren't allowed to read. And then people started reading, and then this guy named William Tyndale printed Bibles and gave them to people, and they burned him at the stake because they wanted to be the ones who said what the Word of God was. They didn't want you to be able to read it for yourself. So this is relevant to us because we're Western, we're in Western culture. So that's why I'm, you know, going back to the Christian religion, because it's what we in the West kind of, you know, those are the archetypes of our culture. But you can say the same thing about Muhammad of the Islamic faith. You could say that Muhammad was the Constantine of the line of Ishmael. You could make that argument. You know, yeah. Like he took the power that was there and he took it and he wrangled it from the people and turned it into his own thing. You could totally say that he was doing the same thing Constantine did in a way, but from a different position. Right. And you could probably say that
and they're not the only two.
Different things.
Exactly. They're not the only two. There's as long as history is, there are characters like this all up and down, littered throughout. Yeah. Wild stuff. Nothing new under the sun. I absolutely love it. As you know, just about out of time. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for popping in here and saving my ass. Always a pleasure, my man. You're the best.
Later, dude. Bye, everyone.
Have a great night. You know, we love him. That's Herschel in Arizona. Commercial Herschel is the name of the Substack. Please go give him a follow on all the places. I would appreciate it very much. That's the whole point of this, is to meet amazing people and talk about amazing ideas together. And troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It will be alphabetical. Follow Herschel. Go check out his book. Check out his Substack. Check out his podcast called Easytopian. Thanks, Herschel. You were the man. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. We got Jen on the line and your calls as well. What do you know about it? Is there a lost god archetype? And ritual disorientation. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. See you on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting and 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm calling this a lost god archetype and of ritual disorientation. I think Herschel had it bang on there that there's a couple things probably happening here. These cycles that we cannot stop, and then people manipulating those cycles against us. What is your take on this? Like I said, it feels as if this is modern, but it also feels as if this is very ancient in the same space. And again, the inspiration for this was just that one little line from that Violent Femmes song called Kiss Off, way back literally 50 years ago or so. And 999 for a lost God. And I was like, huh, we were thinking about this way back when in punk rock songs, you know, kind of that off the beaten path punk rock. If you like the Violent Femmes, I appreciate them very much in that, you know, that sort of a punk rock way, the attitude of it. But I don't know, what do you think? As usual, there's a lot of ways to consider this, and these things keep changing. These, again, archetypes, not just in terms of the pantheons, but in terms of how we interact with them and how they're used against us. And what do you see? And are we being prepped in the end for some new level of digital deity? And that's what came to my mind as part of this. And I mean, I don't know. It feels very real to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And I think Herschel's bang on too with people will resist. People resist this type of stuff. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Jen in Missouri, the Arcade Observer. Welcome to the joint. How are you tonight? All yours. Go right ahead.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear. You sound great.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think as far as like can the right now, I think that because we are becoming so immersed in AI technology and the use of these different chatbots that are, you know, being programmed on basically just the way that humans interact with each other so supremely, you know, like at every level, because it has a full scope of the entire history of human myth and everything else. It's all been put onto the internet, just through conversations, through all of the everything essentially. And so, I mean, the concern about, you know, how limited is the creator of this world? Could it speak through anything? Could it, you know, interact with the world in any form? And that would probably include anything that mankind could come up with. I mean, I don't think that there's necessarily, it's giving limitations if we think that AI can compete with God. We're placing a limitation in a way upon our concepts of it to begin with. And this is not the first time this has happened. This has happened with, at least in our lifetimes, whether it's been music, we've been afraid that it's competing with how we understand the concepts of God, or the way that we might interpret conversations with the unseen, hidden realm. Whether it's, you could take something, for example, and see, you know, an omen and a falling feather or anything else. You could see some kind of significance in a coincidental meeting or anything of the kind. And so to be limited to believe that maybe the music or anything at all is somehow limited to how God might speak to its creation. Yeah, and we see it with animals, we see it with things that are beyond our control and things that are in our control, just our existence in general. But as far as technology, is it somehow able to also be channeling that information, or is it cut off from it? I would say that it's unlikely that it would be held off and unpenetrable by the creator energy, or that the creator of this universe that knows the hearts and minds of every human being and every creature and has made all of it could somehow be limited in some way when it comes to computers or technology, that it's not something it could actually, you know, penetrate. I don't think that that's quite the same thing. I think that there are no secrets when it comes to true experience like this. One thing that I would always have to look out for, I think, stands out is falsity of, you know, when humanity begins to get such an ego to itself that it believes that it has special information. And you can see this without technology. We've seen this in the past in many religious systems. We've seen it in many philosophies where there's a belief that they have some kind of secret information that cannot be attained by just anyone, that they hold some secret powers or knowledge of some kind and that is unique to them, that they are special. And that has always been a deception when it comes to AI technology, any technology. If the individual becomes inflated and believes that they have special access to this, or that they could dispense knowledge that wouldn't otherwise be recognized by, the typical person, so to speak, I think that is what we should always be looking out for. Or the idea that something should say, like with any of the, as far as with the old gods, there was the idea that these gods were, they were jealous, but you're also looking at a time frame when you had different gods and goddesses and of different territories, because people had not developed the societies all the way to the extent that they have now, and they were still a great deal into migration and warfare. Actually, not much different than we have now, but never in the time of history that we are aware of in written oral history has there been a time when we've all had access, more or less, to what is going on at a distance. There are people out there able to record, and it's like there's a transparency happening. And as far as what is the wisdom of the technology, whatever this algorithm, whatever the system has, with what we've created, not we have created, we've been partaking of it. I think our very participation has created that, but it's not so much different than when people participated in the ancient rituals of old, or they would get together for this, or they would talk about that, and about philosophies, for example, even just like when they would get together to drink in pubs and talk philosophy, or they would, correspond through letters, and that was a form of technology in a way, and through music, they would share that, or they would travel vast distances to share some new spiritual understanding that had not been seen by different cultures, for example, when they were introducing those ideas. So I think right now, though, we have this very unique time in human history where it is all on the surface, and it does take a discerning mind to understand to interpret it. But the best way, I think, to have a discerning mind about it is to be cautious of anything that puts you down or above at all. And so that's something that's a big concern, I think, right now, and in our system that we have, that is not in place. We have systems at play that do put people above or below others. However, you cannot get away from the natural, organic measure of that. So I'm not afraid that technology could replace God. I think that there's a concern that people could become sort of possessed with this idea that they have, especially if they were to become one with the machine, so to speak, and actually get interface on their mind, like on their brain, physical brain, or interface on their body, that they could become confused about where it begins and where it ends for their existence on the planet, for their experience of what it is to be alive. They could become confused by that close of an interplay, like the advances they're making in VR and things like that, where reality could almost emulate, like the VR could almost emulate reality, whether it's through whatever. But I think the biggest thing is that nobody wants to hear, the BS of anyone believing that they don't want to be told anything. And what's really interesting is that the AI would recognize that if the agenda was to make people kinder with each other or more tolerant of each other, it is not unlike what we have seen in several religions that were attempting to do the same thing and unite humanity under some concept. So I think it is very similar to that, to try to be accepting of each other and so on and so forth. But you would always have to, as always, watch out for false guruship, or I have special knowledge, or I am, even the New Age philosophy, and then you turn around and go to a store and you're like hateful to the clerk, or you think that they are beneath your, it's called the golden chain in some belief systems. It's like where you believe that you are so in tune and so in contact with the divine that you are better than that. And we've seen that with all of the leadership systems of the past, all of the government systems are based upon that idea. they have ruled the world with that idea. It could happen with AI, especially if you're implementing the idea of an AI government where it is told to find what is superior to one system over another, or what is the most benevolent way that humans should interact would be based off of the group mind of the society it's speaking for. That may not be the group mind of another set of cultures in another part of the world. That would be something that would have to be, but I think that even what's bizarre is with the internet, it's really odd and eerie that it has access to all of that information. I think in everyday life that God is speaking to us in everyday life and in everyday occasions constantly. There's never this silence appears like there is nothing, but life, the life itself that we are living is a type of communication. And it's a sort of expression of how we are interpreting the information coming in. As a creature, if you look at the wild world around you, if you look at the animals and everything and how they exist, even in moments of despair, what we may interpret as despair, where there is hopelessness, they continue to try. They don't give up. And when you look at humanity, we are unique in that regard, that there is a sort of, because of the intelligence level, I think. But the point of living is to survive and to go through it, whatever that means. I think that the way that we handle that and who we become through that struggle is what matters the most. It's what you're left with at the end of it all. And I don't know that AI, will ultimately decide that for anyone. I think that AI is not much different than when we were digging around through chicken guts to try to understand things. If we're trying to use AI to communicate with God, I think that God is probably in anything and everything, since this is its manifestation of existence, whatever that means.
Well said. And of course, I agree. There's a lot here, replacing old ideas with new ideas, as we keep saying. Nothing new under the sun, and these cycles, and be wary of the person who would lead you astray, the false shepherd, all this stuff. It's been around for so long, and yet here we are again. It's 2025, and these same concepts are in our face again, and still continually and constantly. And yeah, I think be careful who you believe. Be careful finding the secrets of the universe, because I think they're not as easy to be found as we think they are. Absolutely. What else you got?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that 100%. I think that, what's more and more, it becomes obvious that what's true for one person too, like one person's life, humans are so individualized. It's very difficult. I mean, there are some things we can all agree on, at least we would think so. There are always, these things that kind of stand out. There are always, human experiences that stand out where it's like it's unrelatable, So I don't know that how successful. We've seen that though in every government. It's the struggle of trying to find. We've been struggling with that forever. How can we create a society? How can we find a way? And under divination and trying to understand the secrets that's a whole separate topic in a way, but it's the same topic we're talking about. But trying to understand. What is the flow? What is the purpose? Are we going in the right direction? And not, in one hand, as a hive mind, if you will, but on the other hand, as an individual, how can you respect both at the same time? Would be the question, would be very difficult. And how can you also serve justice at the same time? But there, what would divvy that out? And so when you look at the laws of, for example, the Abrahamic religions, trying to find good law and order in a way, and that being extremely messy, at the same time trying to find, over thousands of years what that looks like. Now that is changing, it's always been changed. I mean, there have been times, a great many times in history, where celebrations of art and freedom and just the very basis, the very almost bestial nature of humanity being celebrated has existed. It's just walking that fine line, trying to make people whole again. And there's this hope, I think, with at least the technological age, that somehow technology will bridge that gap and can unify that aspect along with the more spiritually, like that they are aware of their soul. That humans believe that they have, just their intelligence for one, their ability to understand their own mortality plays a huge role in it. And then part of that and that they see that there's some sort of what appears to be an intelligence behind creation, and an intelligence behind their own creation and the things that happen to them, that there's something moving behind the scenes. And whatever they need, to understand that more further, like they did, you can see, like, for example, even tarot cards, for example. I'm fairly familiar with those things, or any oracle, really. People have used any type of anything as signs and symbols of what is trying, what is they could call it their subconscious, they could call it God, but they could talk about signs and things like that. Believing that even in Pollock, I'm not a fan of Pollock art, but when he was throwing speckled paint onto a canvas, he believed it was falling in this perfect symmetry in a way that was representation of something. Almost like that. But there's something speaking to us through absolutely everything. That would include technology, I would imagine, now. And maybe that was the idea to begin with. I always hate the but about it being in the hands of this person or that person. But at this point, it is so tremendous. Technology is so tremendous and is such a wide scope that eventually I don't really know what they would even do with having given all of this information about humanity into a program, into the internet stuff. But that's about all I have to say about it, I think. But
yeah, fire is always.
It gets lost in translation.
No, absolutely not. You're bang on here, and I think that's the point of this, is that to recognize, to reframe it, and then say, hey, look, we're still human in this human space, regardless of all these massive transitions that are happening faster than we can dream of. Still, there's a basis for who we are and where we came from, and that's really what I've been talking about for years as part of this. And I hate to say it, Jen,
I don't think we can lose that.
It seems like
I don't think it
can
be lost.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. And I think you're right. But also, we sometimes need a jostling to remember, because it feels as if everything's working against us to forget where we did come from. But yeah, I think you're bang on, as usual.
Yeah, it's definitely about endurance. Life is hard. Have a great night, Mike, and thank you so much.
Appreciate the call. Thank you so much for dipping in here and saving the night, as usual. You were the best. That's Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. You know her, you love her, been a good friend for a long time. Give her a follow in all the places, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It is alphabetical. Follow Jennifer, it says right there. Thank you to Sweet Tues out there sharing the link trees of the individuals, Herschel and Jen and everybody else. Appreciate you very much. And thanks for the call. And you're right. We are, again, I think Jen's spot on with that, is that we cannot lose it. However, the battle is trying to make us forget it. And I've been talking about this for literally years at this point, that it's one of those things that if we do forget, again, back to identity that I always talk about, you give your identity to somebody else and you are not yourself anymore. They control you implicitly. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I have no idea who this is. You're on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Go right ahead.
Hey, what's up? This is Jay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. What's going on, Jay? Welcome to the joint. Jay in Arizona, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just reaching out. I kind of called in. I haven't listened to the show. I don't know what tonight's topic is or what you guys are discussing. Just
basically the lost God. Is there some sort of larger op to make us forget where we came from in the religious sense? Are we supposed to forget religion in place of a new sort of a technocracy or AI God, for instance? That's really the basis of it.
Okay, I have to marinate on that one. I apologize. Like I said, I was just calling. I checked out a couple of your other episodes as well. I think the most recent one, was Synchronicity, and just very interesting. Like I said, every time I check out your show, again, it's kind of like a a mental exercise. But I guess regarding today's topic, the aspect of spirituality, I don't know. It's interesting. You know, I think that we all always have some device on us, but to be alone and bored, I don't know. It's interesting to see how the human has adapted to, I guess, like you state, the acceleration. But yeah, no. And then another thing I was going to talk about too, I don't know if this kind of relates, maybe it does in a weird way, is I was working on a project a couple weeks ago for some network or something, I guess, broadcasting. And it was interesting on the paperwork. It had linear North America broadcasting, kind of like how we talk about linear psychology or linear thinking. And it's just interesting, like seeing things sometimes, like if those are like little signs, I guess, to kind of like get you to wake up within the matrix, you know what I mean? Kind of like the programming and stuff like that. Or I don't know. It's just interesting, like who's behind the scenes of what is portrayed or what is culturally accepted, like you stated, or embodied per se, the next thing that people consume, you know?
Yeah. And how do you guide that? And how is it being guided for us? There's so much happening that nobody ever talks about or thinks about. It is sort of this ephemeral space of just information flowing through, but it's there. It's very real. And it's something that we need to consider more often, which is why, look, I'm taking one for the team, basically for the human team, and being like, look, I'll be the weirdo and I'll be wrong, but look at all this stuff nobody's talking about. Let's think about it. Let's talk about it. What else you got, my man? Go ahead.
And then again, I don't know, just some personal experiences real quick. I was going to tell you guys about. These are kind of recent with me, but I work part-time at a casino, and being on the tribal land, meeting tribal people, it's interesting, like the culture, the truth versus what's kind of been you know, I don't know, changed or manipulated, whatever you want to call it, history. But it's interesting. I have some books, and I skydive in between Tucson and Phoenix and Eloy, and I'm always in Tucson a lot, hiking, and again, kind of going down the rabbit hole. You guys can Google it, but I was up there at Madera Canyon, and it's weird because at the top there's a telescope owned by NASA and U of A, and I think it was originally abbreviated as Lucifer, and then they changed it. But again, kind of meeting these tribal people over here at the casino, they tell me that their perspective, their psychology is, there is something spiritual about that mountain. And then what was crazy too is when I was out there, I was like with a group of people, and embedded within the mountain range, I guess there wasn't a lot of frequency with radios. And it was weird because we were out there hiking and just taking a moment to kind of get some water or whatever. But it was interesting because two people heard each other's thoughts, you know, even though nobody spoke. And it was kind of interesting. And I don't know, it's just like a lot of weird phenomena over there in certain areas in Tucson. That's what I'm trying to say. And then one of the other things that I do, I can send you, I have a book. I read it like 4 or 5 years ago, kind of like the lost gold stories of the Southwest. And it was interesting because these kids, they took like a year off from work, explored the desert, and they talk about these this portal with a certain type of rock formation out there in between the borders of Mexico and going over here to Arizona. And what's weird is when I started transitioning over at the casino, I met a native guy, and he told me the same story, but he's an old timer. And it's kind of like adding truth to, like, you know what I mean, folklore, which you believe sometimes isn't true. But this guy was like a former sheriff at the tribal police force, and he was telling me some interesting things. So again, like you say too, synchronicity, it's like, is it all kind of related? Like, are these signs that, like you say, the bigger picture of what's out there versus reality, you know, what's portrayed?
Yeah, well said. There's some deep wisdom in those reservations that, man, it's going to take us probably centuries to delve out. Firestuff Brother, you're welcome to stay after the break. As you know, music means we're out of time. I appreciate the call. It's up to you. You tell me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Jay in Arizona, good friend for a long time. We got a skydiver friend. There's a troubled mind out there that skydives. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. We got Pete on Discord and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming at all the places, doing all the things. Shout out the real Jason Barker over there. I missed you earlier. How you doing, buddy? Tonight we're talking the Lost God Archetype. I'm calling this of ritual disorientation. Now look, it's very simple. In the old days, we had pantheons, primordial nature spirits, one of my favorite theories. But then things kind of became simplified, rolled up into a singular thing. And then suddenly that singular thing is now becoming a digital thing, looking forward to a future where we actually talk about artificial superintelligence. And again, some people use the term AI God. I don't like that term. It reminds me of the pyramids, right? And, human slaves building pyramids for the AI God type of thing, right? That's what it reminds me of when you're like, okay, a God manifest in the world that people recognize as such. You see how this could go wobbly. Anyway, a lot of ideas here, a lot of ways to look at this. Again, I'm calling it the Lost God Archetype. And we started tonight with this violent femme song called Kiss Off. Again, 1-1. I take 1 because you left me, 2 for my family, 3 for my heartache, 4 for my headaches. He's talking about shots of water, of course. 5 for my lonely, 6 for my sorrow, 7 no tomorrow, and 8 I forget what 8 was for, and 9 for a lost God, buried deeply in this 50-year-old-ish song. An unbelievable Troubled Minds level line. And then, of course, 10 for everything, which is another sort of manifestation of everything we do, not just here together, but everything that goes back 50 years and beyond, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Anyway, that's where we started tonight, and the idea of a lost God. And it dawned on me that this is not something new, obviously, but it is something that's been on my mind, not, let's say, a lot recently, but let's say a lot over 30 years of my life, and trying to recognize and reconcile what that means, not just for me, but what it means for society as a whole. And now, blessed as I am with all of you amazing friends and all the great interaction and people listening out there, and now I have a voice in the world, where 30 years ago I did not. And so some of these concerns, some of these old ideas can actually become something. And thank you for sharing that journey with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Take it anywhere you like. As you know, nonlinear open-ended is part of the idea here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and we'll put you on the show. Just like this. Let's go to Pete in Georgia. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? All yours. Go right ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, you sound great. Loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Perfect. Hey, first of all, Violent Femmes, Kiss Off, great track. I will say this. I grew up Roman Catholic. I will say that we are going in a wrong direction. Not just the Catholic Church. The Christian churches, all of the monotheistic churches are going in a wrong direction right now. The whole country's going in a wrong direction right now. I'm not saying polytheism is a great way to go, but I feel like they had a little bit more of a what was in touch with the earth, with the wind, with the air, with the trees, with the ocean, with the land. I don't know where we're at right now, and it's a scary place to be. And now that I feel like this generation that's coming up has so much screen time, has so much invested into the technology and all of the AI and all of these things, that they don't really even have their own voice. I feel like they're being robbed of it, and it's really a sad place for me. Not necessarily me, but I'm saying like me as a generation. I'm 42, so I'm in that weird demi generation, and it's just it's really rough. It's rough to see, and it's rough to understand too.
Yeah, agreed. It's and that's the thing too. As always, I talk about identity a lot because I try to remind myself of who I want to be, and then try to become that, right? And then again, there are influences out there all over the place. Generational influences, there are religious influences, there are political influences. We're not even talking about the Kardashians. I mean, it goes off the rails with the levels of influence that we're kind of bombarded with on a daily basis. I mean, and you could even say the conversations we have are a similar aspect of that, because we're sort of fracturing reality in a thought form, in an egregore together. But still, even so, recognizing we're in this together is really what this has always been about. And I feel you, man, like the generational thing, Gen X takes a ton of heat as the lost generation and this and that, and the boomers take some heat and the millennials but why? Why? Like we are literally alive in the same time slice. Could we not honor each other as part of that? I mean, there's a lot of people we could dunk on that are long gone. And historically, some of them even deserve it. But we're alive now together in this space. So what are we doing? Like, why do we have that hesitation when it comes to that stuff? I'm with you, man. It's part of the frustration that brings me here every single night. Part of the, let's kind of point through that fog and make the case that we can do this. And that as I'm calling it, ritual disorientation is something we can beat.
I think that we can do it. And you know what? I don't care what God you pray to, as long as you pray to something, whether it be the ether, whether you pray to God, whether you pray to Yahweh, whether you pray to whoever you want to pray to that person. I don't care who you pray to. I really don't. But what I'm not going to stand for is being entitled. I'm kind of tired of everybody getting a trophy, and that might make me, sound a certain different way. But I'm not in for that. I mean, you earn your trophies. You earn your stripes. You earn your scars. You earn those. And I am not in for all this. Like, you just gotta find what you wanna stand for, and that's where you have to take your pulpit. That's where you need to stand up and say, "This is what I stand for," because nobody else is gonna do it. We have to do it together. And we all may agree to disagree, and we all may agree to agree. But that's why I love this platform, because we can all speak our minds and not feel vilified for what we have to say.
Amen. And that's why I'm here. Magically, like I said, 7 years ago, this didn't exist. Magically, 7 years on, grind, tons of amazing friends. We've built something together. And I think once again, it's a reminder that time and pressure is what creates a diamond. And that's exactly the point of all of this. Regarding, do you think we're trapped in this, as I'm describing, not trapped, let's say massively influenced by the biggest psyop of all time? Or do you think that this is part of a natural cycle that is just being manipulated against us, like Herschel was saying? He was kind of describing both of them in the same space. What's your take on that? Do you think that there's an actual direct assault on religion itself, again, from polytheism, monotheism, to the forgotten God archetype, to be replaced by the digital God? Does that make sense? What's your take on that?
As much as I want to say that it's not being replaced by the digital God, I really do, in my heart of hearts, feel like the new generations of people growing up are replacing our traditional gods with the AI gods. I missed Herschel's call, and I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. So I don't know how to speak on his. However, I do really feel like the AI gods are taking over, and it's a really, really troubling thing. Not necessarily because I still go. I don't go to church. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I still feel like there's something out there that looks after us, and I don't think it's my phone, and I don't think it's my laptop, and I don't think it's my iPad, and I don't think it's my office infra work. But it's very, very disturbing to me about how many people just think about that. And I got off Facebook 4 years ago, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life, because I feel like I'm a free person. I'm still on Instagram because I'm a chef and I have to have some kind of a media presence, and so I post some stuff on there. But outside of that, I am not on social media anymore. Outside of Instagram, I have no footprint anymore. Because I'm done with all the BS that's out there. I just can't deal with it. And I think that everybody's going to the AI God, and it's very, very saddening to me. And like I said before, I don't care what God you pray to, but don't make it be the internet.
So please don't make it Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, for of all things. Please,
exactly.
Please, let's not do this. Yeah, and that's the point. Funny you said that. I think about 4 years ago, approximately, I also left Facebook. This show started on Facebook, and we had a page over there. Still do. I could log into it and stream on it or whatever. But it was nearly 50,000 followers on that page. And then we started, it was a kind of an alien page. It was very angular. It was very kind of stupid stuff. It was like what the UFO space kind of is now, like the worst of it. It was just clickbait, right? It was. It really was.
Big hair guy.
Yeah, exactly. It totally was. But then we started doing Troubled Minds on it. And then so the reach of all of those, like people weren't leaving, but the reach was massively throttled. And we had 44, 46, 48,000 at one point actual followers on Facebook on your particular page, our page. And then suddenly we started talking about this type of stuff way back. It was different then, but still sort of looking at the world slightly differently. And then it would get like two people watching the stream. And it's like, really? Like, all of all of those people that are interested in these ideas, this is what we get, like 2 people listening in the very beginning. It made no sense. And so eventually that's continued. And I got pissed off and I left Facebook. I'm like, forget it. I'm out of here. Like, you don't want us. I don't want you. And I haven't gone back. And just as a high five on you, because I left and it was also one of the better things I've done. But here's the thing too, regarding social media, I can't leave entirely, right? Can I? Like, how would people find this? It's so
no, not at all. No, exactly right. Yeah, you can't. I mean, otherwise, how would I have found it?
Yeah, I have considered it, like just deleting all the social media entirely and not doing any of that stuff. But then how does this grow? I don't know. I'm stuck in like a paradox here of that. But I don't know. Regarding any of the rest of this, wherever you like. I don't know, like, how do we combat this? How do we sort of center ourselves and just remain as human as possible is really the question.
I think the only way we can combat this is just being good people. Being good people, being good to each other. And no matter what God you pray to or talk to or associate with, you just need to level with yourself, level with your friends, and just go from there. I mean, I don't care who you talk to. Honestly, I really don't. But I love everybody because we're all humans. We're all in this together, and no matter what happens, this existence is all we have. So we have to do as much as we can with it. And we just need to pony up and figure it out for each other and love each other and give each other prayers and give each other love. That's what I got on this one.
Amen, brother. I agree with you. And thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for being part of the joint. You're always welcome. And you know where to find us. Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Thanks, Mike. You too.
Thank you. That's Pete in Georgia. Again, been listening to us a long time on the podcast feed. Recently jumped in as part of the live crew. Recognize, like I've said in the past, that there's literally like a fracture of, we've got a kind of a live audience, and then we've got the podcast feed, which is 10 times, I'm not kidding, it's 10 times bigger of sort of the silent majority of the people that listen. But sometimes, you know, they come find us. They're like, hey, you know, I've been listening for like 2 years or 5 years or whatever. And I finally joined the Discord, and Pete's one of those guys. Appreciate the call. And thanks for sort of merging those worlds, because look, we're out here talking about all manner of things, and people are out there listening. And it's good to have that feedback come in and say, hey, look, let's talk together and let's consider these ideas. And yeah, and this is part of it tonight. I appreciate the call. Yeah, I don't know. And Violent Femmes, like I said, Kiss Off is the name of the song. As soon as we're done, I'm not going to play it. Actually, I will play it. So when we're done, if you guys haven't joined the Discord, I will play this song on the Discord for the Punk Witch Club, is what I call the people that stay till the very end on Discord. After all the streams are shut down, I will play this song. But I can't, for copyright reasons, on the recordings and whatever. Anyway, but this is where this started. And again, 9 for a lost God. And it feels as if this has really been maybe one of our major mandates as people. And you know me, look, I'm not even particularly religious. I spent time in church when I was a kid, Catholic church. Grandma in the summer. I mean, they sent the plate around and we put the silver in it and stuff, you know? I mean, and went to not Sunday school. What was it? Like a summer school thing. I don't even know what it's called, but so I have some basis there, but still, like I'm not from a religious family per se, but recognize that I can see there is value in those ideas. Not all of the ideas, but certainly value. And in the opposite, there are value in those ideas. And so once again, how do we reconcile that as people and talk to each other without wanting to kill each other? That's it. That's what's on my mind, not just tonight, every damn night. And that's exactly the point of this. Thank you for the call. Appreciate you, Pete. Love to hear your thoughts. We're talking, what is it? The Lost God Archetype. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Let's go to Theo in Philly. Yeah, called back. Welcome to the joint. How you doing, sir? All yours. Go right ahead.
Hey, Mike. Is my audio adequate tonight?
adequate. You sound fantastic. Go right ahead, sir.
Dude, first off, that was a lovely call from Pete. I really did like that. And I also got to say, like, I love the fact that he brought up the violent femmes. I don't know what it is about my age group, but something that just, like, you know, brings me back to the 90s. Like, it's weirdly addictive. Like, I love the late 1990s, early 2010s so much.
I'm with you 100%. I was a young, strapping lad back then. That was a good time for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a very, quite, like, different time. However you'd, like, want to put it, you know, I know that we're all a little bit older, and everyone who is old kind of has a urge to nostalgize previous times. But it was just like, it was just different back then, you know, just having to walk through the humidity of the city and listen to late, like, alternative music while trying to find your own entertainment. Something about that was just a very special point in time before you could look up a video on YouTube. Something about that was nice.
Or listen to whatever you wanted to in any fractal AI or whatever with a touch of a button on your Black Mirror. Yeah, absolutely. Those were good times. Those were good times. And I think too, which doesn't get a ton of credit, is who said this recently? Herschel. Somebody said this recently. Maybe it was you. That we knew how to be bored. We knew what to do with downtime. There's no such thing as downtime anymore. You're like, oh, fire up a movie. Go get it. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, just like, you know, like having to watch whatever somebody else suggested. That's just kind of amazing, you know, like, hey, we're going to watch Trailer Park Boys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the only thing that has possibly been downloaded on this server, you know, so we have to watch it.
Or it's the only DVD we have, whatever.
yeah, just something about, like, not having a choice. Just like, hey, hey, whatever. We have to watch it, you know. There's no other choice. It's just what there is. It is what we have to deal with tonight.
And we made it work. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, who do you think the lost archetype god is?
If I had to make it one guess, and of course, all disclaimers apply. I'm wrong here. I think it's
absolutely.
I think it's collective humanity. I think we are the lost archetype of God itself, himself, herself, however you want to define that. I think it's us. It's generation to generation, seeing things differently and seeing things together, regardless of differences. I think God is us. That's what I think the lost God archetype is. And if we don't recognize it, then it slips away and then turns into the next thing that we miss as well.
I definitely do believe part of that. But it's like kind of so hard for me. Like, I definitely believe that everything does have an aspect of God in it. It kind of does fit very well into my Quaker upbringing. But I also just feel like there's like a little bit of the devil in everything as well, and I don't know how to separate that, if it should be separated or how it should be separated.
Yeah. Above my pay grade, but I would say
definitely above.
Obviously,
as well.
But I would just say without one, you cannot have the other. I mean, that duality of creation, however you want to look at that. And I think recognizing the difference is probably where the divinity comes in, where the lost God archetype is us, recognizing that we do have the angel and the devil on each shoulder, you know?
Yeah, I feel like you are a guy who definitely looks on the bright side of things. Have you seen, like, anything evil within the past 6 months? Like, is there anything bad going on?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I work with very bad people sometimes, like the worst of the worst. Think of the worst thing you ever imagined happened. They're not my coworkers, but I do experience evil. actual, legitimate, true evil. Yes, absolutely. Now, how do I?
So,
go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was going to ask, like, do you know that they're evil, or do you think that they're evil, or do you think it's just they haven't had an opportunity to be good? Because this is like something I definitely question myself about a lot.
No, typically the job I do, I will have a rap sheet and I will know that they've been convicted of these many things. And I sometimes go to meet these type of people. Yes, in the job I do. I do have kind of a quasi more dangerous job than most people do. I mean, I'm not, they're not putting me in an octagon with like a mass murderer or something, but.
Oh no, fair enough.
Yeah, but anyway, we're just about out of time. You're welcome to stay if you got more. Love to hear it if you do.
I got like 2 more questions if you can hold on to me, but yeah.
Okay, stay right there. Be right back. More with Theo, and love to hear your calls as well. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. We got the Quantum Dream coming up right now. Be right back with you in a second, Theo. Thank you. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. Yada yada, all the things. You know where to find it, troubledminds.org. You can find all the places and meet all the amazing people that are part of this. Join the Discord, please, troubledminds.org. Click the blue button on top, join the Discord. Follow our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. Look at this wall of people that have helped us and contributed over the years. And if you should be on this list, you should be on this list. It is an in list, not an out list. Send me an email. All you have to do is help us one iota. Spread the word, retweet us, do the things, call in sometimes, whatever. Just help. I appreciate it very much because, like I said, it's sometimes it it seems easy when you're kind of like I always say, it seems easy on TV if you see it on TV. But sometimes these things are not as easy as it looks because I'm rushing home, have things happening, and human stuff, and then. So every bit of help you guys kick this way as part of the larger conversation in the larger group, it helps a ton, and I appreciate it very much. It is an in-group, not an out-group. If you're not on that list and you should be, it's just an oversight, and I apologize. Send me an email, hit me up on Discord, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link. We'll add you to the list. It's very simple. Mystic Wook, shout out if you're out there listening. He said that somebody grabbed his handle, and now it's not him anymore, so that type of stuff, let me know. And that's why you make a link tree. So if that happens, I have your link tree up, and then if somebody, does something like that, you just change your link tree and it stays static, and I don't have to do anything. So please do that. Anyway, we're talking tonight. The Lost God archetype. I'm calling it of ritual disorientation, and that's probably the more accurate version of this ritual disorientation. Not just in terms of, let's say, the lost God or religion or politics or anything. The ritual disorientation of modern society as we're drawn toward something less good, unsavory. I like that word. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Back to Theo, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Theo, thanks for being patient. Welcome back to the joint. Anything else on the Lost God archetype? And you said you had some questions for me, and welcome back. Thanks for hanging over after the break there.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. I think I have just one question, and I think it's kind of a silly one, but aren't a lot of questions pretty silly?
I'm ready.
All right, so I want to know, since you've had an interesting job, and it seems like you've dealt with a lot of people who may or may not have had sort of redemption paths back to life. Is there any quality that you would recommend a human have when seeking redemption? Just from your point of view, it doesn't have to be correct or wrong. I just would appreciate your point of view. And after this, I will hang up.
Well, hang up. You can't, because I have to ask you the same question back. Look, I would just say as part of that, I don't see a lot of redemption arcs. I haven't been doing what I'm doing as long as to kind of see some of this stuff. And some of the things I do are very short, like a quick 5-minute, 10-minute thing here or there. So I don't know, like regarding like really, really bad people, or let's say very, very disturbed people that have done bad things. I don't know. Luckily, thank God, I'm not one of those people that have, you know, like I've lived my life by the law. I know. Everybody's out there laughing. They're like,
fair enough.
They're like, oh, this ridiculous clown. Oh my gosh, he follows the law. no, I do. I pay my taxes, as I always say, to my endless detriment. But I think it's a human question, and I think, as usual, many people could answer it in the ways that they best know how. And I would just say, like a level of humility, a level of humble. If you can adopt that into your space in all the ways as much as possible, then yeah, I mean, is redemption always possible? You know, I mean, I would say there are probably extremes where that's not possible. Like justice is a thing, and doing something so egregious in the human space where there is no redemption is probably a thing.
Yeah.
Philosophically, at the end of ends, like you choose, like you pick whatever level threshold that means. But also, hold on, I'll share a very nice story that happened to me at work. Yeah,
please do.
Yesterday. Okay. Very nice. And this had nothing to do with me actually, my capacity at work. I was, again, moving into a particular area, and I pull into this parking lot, and there's an old man standing there. Just standing there. He's looking like he's lost or confused. And so I stop and roll down my window, and I say, hey, are you okay? You good? I mean, because this is Las Vegas. It's 105 degrees outside. The guy's probably 80 years old, my guess. Actually, I know for a fact because we talked and he told me he's 80. I guessed younger, 75 when we first talked. But anyway, so I stop, and this is not for Michael Strange bonus points or anything. This is a legit thing that happened, and this is one example of little things we can do to help each other. And I asked him, "Are you okay? Are you where you need to be, et cetera, so on?" And he said to me, he's all, the bank over there, I've tried 2 different doors and they're not open. I'm trying to get into the bank. And he was kind of far away from the bank, like walking back to his car or something. And I was like, okay, check it out. It was like 3:00. The bank should be open. Banking hours till 5. Here's what I'm going to do. You're in the shade right now. Stay right there. I'm going to go check, make sure this bank is open. I'll get right back to you. He's like, cool. Thank you. I do. I drive around because he's on the back side. I drive all the way around to the front. Turns out he literally, this poor old guy out in the 105 degree heat, he went to all the different back doors of this bank that were not the entrance. So he literally went to all the different sides and then he missed the front. And so I check, it's open. And I go back and I pick him up. I'm like, get in, man. Yeah, it's open. I'll drive you over there and whatever. He's like, oh, thank you so much. He's like, my name's Ron. I'm like, my name's Mike. Hey, what's up? Hop in. Let's talk, And he's like, how old am I? I'm like, 75. He's all, higher. I'm like, 77. He's all, higher. I'm like, 80. He's all, yeah, I'm 80. I'm like, yes, awesome. Welcome.
Nice.
Yeah. And so anyway, I drive him around. It's literally nothing. It's like 10 minutes out of my moment or whatever. I still got all my stuff done and all the stuff. But anyway, I dropped the guy off right at the front, and wildly, I help him out, and he's like, "You got a strong grip, young man." And I'm like, "Thank you, so do you." And he's like, he's squeezing as hard as he can, right? And he says to me, he's all, "Let me tell you something." He said, "My son's name is Michael." And I was like, "Well, sometimes synchronicities happen." But I said, "Look, more importantly than that, what's more important in all of this is that we slow down, recognize when somebody needs something in a moment, and that we help each other." And he said, "God bless you, my friend." And that was it. And he went into the bank, and I went in, did my thing, and on the way out, I checked on him, make sure he was okay. He was good. But and an actual tearjerker version of this. So we talked for 10 minutes in the car as I was dropping him off. He just had brain surgery 4 months ago for cancer. Okay. He came out of it cancer-free, and he was actually at the bank because he was taking care of his mother-in-law's final stuff because she had just passed away. So he had like these papers and stuff that he was at her bank, like handling her stuff, 80 years old, stuck in the heat. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm saying. Tiny, tiny things, right? Me, I could have just drove right by. You get what I'm saying? Like, there are so many opportunities in the world for us to just notice in a moment that somebody needs us. Be there when that happens. That's how you do it.
Yeah, dude, that is absolutely true. And like, I know like you're not trying to like ask your own D or anything like that, but it's just like simply noticing when somebody around you needs a modicum of help and just attempting to do that for them. It's like one of the most important and fundamental and best things about being a human. It's just trying to help other people is probably the only thing we have left in this crazy, crazy world. And it's something that we should all strive to do as best as we possibly can. But yeah.
Yeah. And it's
I totally agree with you on that.
So sometimes we make it quite a bit more complicated than it needs to be. Pay attention to what's happening around you. One, so you don't get stabbed, obviously. But two, just in case something like that, right? Because there's always that. But two,
yes, there is always the possibility of getting stabbed. That does, unfortunately, occasionally happen to some people.
Exactly, and so that's the point. So, look, I think it's quite a bit more simple than we make it, than society makes it. And that, like I was lucky to be there in the right moment and be able to help this guy. And that's how I saw it. It wasn't, I don't think it was like ordained or something or predetermined or anything like that. It was a lucky chance to help somebody, and it was okay to help in a moment. And it had absolutely no bearing on anything I was doing other than, I burned 10 or 15 minutes with the guy and met an amazing man and heard an amazing story about being human. That's what it's all about, brother. That's what it's all about.
I love that, dude. Like, a lot of people just also want to talk, especially older people. They don't get like enough chances to talk about themselves, or people don't listen. But it's crazy once you get to listen to just anybody talk. There's a lot of unheard information about there. So yeah, I don't know. It's wild. It is wild.
Keep your head up. It's not just getting stabbed. It's also watching out for others. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for the call.
God bless you, Mike. And keep driving people around if you get a chance.
I will. Real quick. And 10, 10, 10 for everything. Everything. You're the best, brother. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call.
All right.
Toodles. Theo in Philly. You know him, you love him. One day we'll share his Substack. He's the official poet of Troubled Minds. And this is going to be Theo's poem for tonight. This violent femme song that he loves very much and I love very much. And yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes we complicate things. And me personally, as part of these discussions, I obviously complicate things. Obviously. That's the point. To sort of break down the fractals of these ideas, the zeitgeist, the noospheres I always talk about, what it means to be human, all those spaces, and then bring them all back together again with you guys, with us, with these conversations. Yeah. Sometimes it's way easier than we let it be. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes things are really hard. Think about that. Brain cancer at 80, survived it. Mother-in-law died who was 95. He's stuck out there in the desert heat trying to find the bank that he's clearly disoriented a little bit. These are human things. Not human things that you would expect to be challenges, but if you're 80 years old, that's a massive challenge sometimes. Just pay attention. I do it all the time, by the way. Like I said, I'm not looking for brownie points or, trying to endear myself to you. Look, I don't care. Hate me. I do not care. But in a moment, sometimes, if you need me and I drive by, sometimes there's a guardian angel. And it could be you too. You get it? Yeah. Anyway, what do you know? I'm talking all manner of stuff tonight. The Lost God archetype of ritual disorientation. And yeah, Like I said, things don't have to be so complicated. But I complicate them for the sake of conversation, not for the sake of telling you who to vote for, or not for the sake of trying to convince you I'm some sort of messiah, or trying to convince myself of anything. When you look at multiple ideas in multiple different ways, suddenly the world seems not so scary. That's my point. It's what brings me back every night. I say it a lot, night after night after night after night. Anyway, we got a little bit of time left. If anybody wants to jump in here, if you have anything to add to this, to whatever, as usual, you know how this works. Kind of the last bit of this is, a little, the third hour, we get a little sloppy, a little bit off topic. That's okay, which is part of the whole discussion. It's supposed to go off the rails a little bit, right? It's supposed to. But if you have anything to say, we got about 10 minutes left. If anybody wants to jump in here, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's is as easy as that. Very simple. And otherwise I got tons of stuff to get to as usual. Let's see. Let me look at my outline, or actually back to this write-up. This is very good. So it ended with this, again, the lost God archetype. I'm going to read from this write-up, which you should read, by the way. If you're into like multiple ideas in a singular space of this wild thing that we're building here together, go read these write-ups on Substack. How do you find it? Go to troubledminds.org. All the way to the top, it says subscribe to our newsletter on Substack. Go check it out. All of the write-ups for the shows are there. And they're kind of their own art piece, or their own, space, their own framework for these conversations, okay? But, so back to this. Regarding the lost God archetype and of ritual disorientation, which is probably the most poignant part of this. That's the tension now, straight from the write-up. We didn't just lose the pantheons. We're losing the final anchor point. The monotheistic God once held space for awe, judgment, transcendence. Without it, we risk a culture where nothing is sacred. Not even the search for meaning. But maybe that's the final descent. The last underworld before something new emerges. Not a return to old belief, but a raw re-encounter with the divine on unmediated terms. Not a God in the sky, a God in the static, in the silence, in the scream. Still here, still lost, still waiting. Yeah. Like I said, if you don't think the write-ups are good, you're dreaming. Go check those out. Most of them, like 80%, 85% of them are very good. Anyway, that's the point of this, is that I think that personally, I think there's been an attack on faith. And recognize too, when I talk about faith, I'm not necessarily talking about faith in an institution. I'm not talking about faith in the divine. I'm not talking about faith in those terms other than for conversation, for metaphor, for allegory, for all those things, okay? Because the most important faith we can have, in my opinion, is faith in ourselves. That's it. That is it. Who is going to be your best, most amazing cheerleader if it's not you? Yeah. It's something I wish I realized when I was like 20. It would have changed my life in an unbelievable way. Well, I'm older now, and I've realized it. Continue to have faith in yourself. It will pay dividends in many ways that, as yet, not even dreamed of. Yeah, that's that. Lots of ways to look at it. Anyway, okay. I don't know. What else do we got? There's a whole PDF here, by the way, which, here it is. Yeah. If you want this, I'll drop this on the Discord. There's an entire PDF talking about the lost God archetype, which is where this came from. I built this like a week ago, several days ago, over the weekend, this past weekend. I tried to get ahead of some shows here and pick some inspirations that are meaningful to me. And like I said, I know that's Some might say egotistical. Some might say selfish. Some might say whatever they look. All kinds of people say all kinds of things. But if I don't feel it, I don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? And especially in the moment. And that's where this comes from. And so this was something massively interesting to me. The idea came from that Violent Femme song, and that number 9 for a lost God. That gets caught in this amazing syncopation in the amazing bridge. You get it? Whether you like this song or not, admit that I'm right here. That 9 for a lost God gets caught in between. In 8, I forget what 8 was for. And 9 for a lost God. And then in 10, everything. I'll play this song when we're done on the Discord. If you guys haven't joined the Discord, 5-minute heads up. Get your ass on the Discord. I'll play it. We'll all listen to this together and you'll see what I mean. But that line is so troubled minds. It is so poignant. It is so important. And it gets lost in the entire thing from top to bottom. That's it. That's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you guys are entertained. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Michael W. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? All yours. Go right ahead.
Hey, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yep. You sound great. Loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of like you, man. I will hear a song lyric and it will speak to me in a magical way. Like words can change my life. They can change my paradigm, and it feels like absolute magic. And I don't know if that's kind of where you're coming from when you talk about these lyrics from the Violent Femme song. I was born in '82, and I've been a pretty big Violent Femmes fan. I mean, I don't know everything about them, but since the late '90s, early 2000s when I discovered them. And I think that classifies me as an elder millennial, but I had no idea how early they were making music. I didn't realize that song was almost 50 years old.
1983.
But 83, so it was just the year after I was born. Okay. This whole concept of the God idea, and I don't know how this connects to the magic of song lyrics, but I view existence as I see reality all around me, and it's all alive. Everything is alive. Plants are alive. Rocks are alive. The house I live in is alive on some level. I don't talk to all these things, and they don't talk back to me, but I think of it as 13 point whatever billion years ago, whatever made the decision to create this universe exploded itself into an infinite number of pieces, and those pieces took form of many sizes, some tiny, some huge. Some became humans, some became grains of sand, some became stars in the sky, and I think I don't know. I was having a hard time following the idea of the show tonight, but the idea of the lost God, I don't think it's lost. I think it's finding itself. I think it's on a quest that it created for itself to find itself, to discover what it's made out of. And that's why it did this to itself. And that's where we all came from. And like you can hear physicists, modern day physicists talk about how we are all made of stardust. Our physical bodies are composed mostly of carbon. And that comes from supernovas. That comes from stars exploding and sending their dust out across the universe. And from my perspective, I was raised in a very hyper religious way that was kind of guilt driven and toxic. But I escaped from that, and I started thinking about these things and learning about these things, and that's what I've come to believe. And psychedelics kind of helped me learn those things. Don't do drugs, kids. But I explored a lot of different things, and that's kind of what I came to believe. And I've seen other perspectives. I've spent a very small amount of what I cannot call time in a realm where time does not exist. And I viewed the world that we live in, this temporal existence, from outside of the realm or the ring or the scope of time as we think of it. And from out there, it all makes sense. And it looks like a loop that repeats itself. And you can enter and exit at whatever point you want, and you can live multiple lives over and over again in the same scope of time if you want to. It's just a matter of stepping in and stepping out from that outside realm. Anyway, I guess I kind of lost track of where I was going with, other than the concept of the lost God. I don't think it's lost. I think it's on a quest to find itself and to learn about itself and just learn about what it's made out of. And that's what we are. Every single one of us are tiny little bit of what it is made out of. Whatever it is, I don't worship it. I don't know what it is. I'm not supposed to know what it is, and I'm not supposed to it doesn't want me to worship it. Nothing like that. It wants to learn about itself. And I am a small, teeny, tiny, infinite, small, tiny speck. If you think about how many people live on the earth and how many planets there are in the universe and how many people must live on those planets, and I'm only one of those things, that my mind cannot unfold that number. My mind is not capable of fathoming that number of how many people there are in the known universe. And I'm just one of them. And I'm a tiny speck of what we're calling a lost God is, on a quest to learn about itself.
Grains of sand, my friend. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Imagine, so the grains of sand sort of scenario, they do this when they talk, the Carl Sagan wannabes on TV these days. They're like, imagine all the grains of sand on this singular beach. Now imagine all the grains of sand on the entire planet Earth. Now imagine those as galaxies in the cosmos. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm making fun of them a little bit, but also, yeah. And we are that tiny.
I can hear Carl Sagan's voice when you say that. It's so iconic,
Yeah. And also, it's true. And we are, but look, we are that tiny, but also in that sense, we are also that powerful. Like it scales both ways. And so, what do you want to be? What do you want to become? And how do you want to become it? Like I said, identity is an incredibly important thing to me because, like I said, I've wobbled with my identity through my life. And so that's why I recognize it as one of those things that's critical to who we become. You choose who you become, not as Carl Jung said, I'm going to butcher it, but you are who you choose to become, not sort of the victim of your circumstances. Okay. And that's not always, again, I get it. There are extremes where that is not the case. But most of us, if we're lucky enough to be able to make that decision is of utmost importance. And it's what brings me back every night to share with you guys ideas and just being human and being imperfect. It's okay. It is okay. But also let's together be a little more perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
You're the best. What else you got for us tonight?
Well, I think, you made me think of the Stoic mindset stuff because you were in that commercial. And, I think it gets a bad rap, the Stoicism and the Stoic mindset. It seems like a cold idea, but, I've been exploring these ideas lately and it brings me comfort and it helps me. It helps me avoid negative thought patterns. I think that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to those ideas, the Stoic mindset and Stoicism. And it's not as bad as it seems. And to me, it's a very helpful thing. And for me in my life, I have to avoid negative thought patterns. I have to avoid catastrophic thinkings. And that's what that helps me do. For some reason, you made me think of that when you ran that commercial earlier today, but I think that's it. I think that's all I have to share tonight. I love you guys. Have a good night.
And back at you. You were the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for popping in here and sharing your ideas and being the best you that you can be. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Michael W. White like the ghost. Again, like I keep saying, if you have not joined the Discord and come met these amazing people, you're doing yourselves a disservice. I cut them off. There's radio breaks. I interject, et cetera, so on. But these people that make this show go, I'm one of them, sure. But you see what's happening here. Come be part of this conversation. troubledminds.org/friends. Follow them. troubledminds.org. Scroll up to the top and click the Discord. Come join. It's a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. And the only rule is just don't come in and tell everybody that they don't know anything and you know everything. That's it. Be, common courtesy. That's it. Let's talk ideas. Let's share things, and let's consider that we ourselves might be wrong. Don't forget, I'm taking one for the human team. I'm the pariah, the ridicule, the unserious person. I'm that guy because I think it's necessary. If you want to call me the jester archetype, fine. I'll take it. But you see how smart and how serious I actually am? Yeah. Anyway, troubledminds.org, click the Discord. Come say hi. Come join it, because in about 2 minutes, I'm going to play that Violent Femme song, and we can all listen to it together off of the stream because, of course, copyright considerations. Anyway, thanks for being part of this. Thanks for caring about the ideas. Thanks again to the old friends that sensed Mike's struggling. He needs some help and that jumped in here and helped me out. And thanks for all the interaction, the calls, the ideas, the chat. Thanks for being cool and chill to each other, as I keep saying. It means a lot to me that we built a space on the internet, a corner of the internet where we don't go after each other. Even if we disagree, recognize. Now let's again, collectively take this out into the world. And notice in a moment, if somebody needs you, be there. Right? Sometimes things are quite a bit more simple than they seem. Take the moment when you get it. I promise you, you'll feel fine. I mean, you probably already feel fine. You'll feel fine +1. If you want to help us, troubledminds.org/friends. Very simple. Scroll down, spend some time. Look, like I said, all the time that goes into this show, not just for me, for the people that contribute, and for all the chat, not just all the time spent. Think about all the human hours spent in this show. It's a lot. It's humbling. It's a lot. Go help. Go follow these amazing friends. And of course, if you should be on this list, contact me. Hit me on Discord, troubledmindsradio@gmail.com. And all you got to do is help. Just help us. One little way. And continue to do it, preferably. And that's how we do it. We help each other, right? troubledminds.org/friends. Click the Discord link. Come meet these amazing folks. Again, Michael W., amazing dude, a good friend for a long time now. And this is why we do this. This is why I do this, because I know there are so many amazing people out there that need this, that need us, that need this space. That's it. It's simple, right? I mean, unless we complicate it. So if you jump into the Discord, we're going to play this Violent Femme song, and then we'll wrap it. But that will play actually after the stream is over. So shout out Sylvain jumped into the Discord. I will play that. If you've never heard that song, maybe it'll get stuck in your ear as an earworm. Anyway, if you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to talk about who to vote for. We're not going to talk about their narratives, their narratives, the technocracy or the rest of this. We'll kind of talk about it in the periphery. But I am not going to absolutely take somebody else's nonsense and then bring it to you guys as part of this. I'm chasing my own inspiration. I'm chasing inspiration for us. I'm chasing inspiration for a space that doesn't get enough oxygen. That's it. It's very simple. Like I said, sometimes things are as simple as they seem. That's it. If you want to help us directly, troubledminds.org. There's a shop link up there. Click that. It'll take you over to troubledfans.com. There's the vault there you can sign up for. There's the shop itself where you can get the accessories. There's Maybe Juice mugs. There's stickers. There's shirts, hoodies, hats, all the stuff. I would appreciate it very much. The music is on there too, by the way. Featured launch products. Scroll down a little bit and you get the AI music is there as well. Anyway, as we finish, it goes exactly like this. And this goes out to my friend Ron, who I met in a random parking lot in Las Vegas. Be sure Be strong. Be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. We'll see you on the Discord in 30 seconds to play that Violent Femme song. You guys have a fantastic one. We'll see you on Thursday night. We got an old friend, Mikhail Tank, is going to be here, and we're going to talk about specifically and directly how to thrive in the age of AI. So a nice brainstorming session. If you guys want to be part of that, love to hear your thoughts on that. We'll see you on Thursday. But otherwise, we'll see you in 30 seconds as we play this amazing song that inspired this entire conversation. Have a great night, guys.